Today, I'm going to be making the best bourbon pecan chocolate chip cookies. This recipe comes from the G&M Kitchen. I will link below to this recipe, so if you want to go there and print the recipe out for yourself, you can do that just like I did. So what you need to make these cookies is you need 1 cup of toasted pecans. So I bought my pecans. They were not toasted. I put them in a pan and I toasted them, but this is 1 cup of toasted pecans. And then you need a 1/3 cup of bourbon, which I'm using the Evan Williams because that is the Kentucky bourbon that we have.
And it's good.
And it's good. Yes, what you have to do is once you get your pecans toasted, you want to let them soak in your 1/3 cup of bourbon for 30 minutes. So I have already done that before I started the video. So all I did, I toasted the pecans, put them in the bowl, put a 1/3 cup of bourbon in here, and they've been sitting. That's all you have to do with that. You need 3/4 cup of butter. You need 3/4 cup, it says dark brown sugar. I'm using light brown sugar. There are a couple of places where I'm venturing off from the recipe, but I'm using light brown sugar. You need 1/2 cup of granulated sugar, 2 eggs, 1½ teaspoons of vanilla extract, 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder, and then they want you to use 1 cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips. I'm using 1 cup of milk chocolate chips. I actually bought the Ghirardelli chocolate chips, so this is 1 cup of milk chocolate Ghirardelli just because I like Ghirardelli and I like milk chocolate. You want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees, and then you want to line 2 cookie sheets. I'm using the Reynolds Kitchen parchment paper. So now in a mixing bowl, you want to take both of your sugars, your brown sugar and just your white sugar, and your butter, and you want to mix these together until they are well mixed. Now you want to add your eggs one at a time, and then once they're combined, you want to add in your vanilla. Now you want to mix in your flour, salt, and baking soda until it says until a little streak of flour remains. We'll see how good I am at leaving a little streak of flour. Now we have our dough. We want to mix in our chocolate chips and our bourbon and pecans, and we're gonna mix it all together, and then we are going to put this whole thing in the refrigerator for 1 hour. My dough has been in the refrigerator for 1 hour. So now the directions say scoop out 2 to 2½ tablespoons of batter onto a lined cookie sheet. I'm using my big cookie scoop because I like big cookies, but you could use a smaller one if you want. Something that annoys me with recipes is when they have you preheat your oven really, really early. So they wanted me to preheat my oven from the get-go and then put this batter in the refrigerator for 1 hour. Well, nobody's oven takes 1 hour to preheat. That's just absurd. So I turned off my oven for a while, and then right before when I knew that I was going to pull these out of the refrigerator, then I turned my oven back on to preheat. So just know that you do not have to leave your oven on that long, because that is a waste of electricity. So I'm going to put as many of these on this piece of parchment paper as I can. And then we're going to bake them. It says for 10 to 12 minutes. I'm going to go for the low end. I'm going to go for 10 minutes. But then if I end up leaving them longer, then I'll let you know when they come out how long it took. So I must have made my cookies smaller because you're only supposed to get like 18 cookies. Well, I have about 18 cookies right here. This is what they look like once they're cooled off. And then this is what they look like straight out of the oven. So they're kind of puffed up straight out of the oven, but then they settle into these, and I'll show you. They look perfect on the bottom. I'll let mine bake for about 11 and a half minutes. That's how long I let these bake. But look, I still have all this left. And that's with me eating probably 2 cookies worth of raw dough out of here. So I have enough for a whole other cookie sheet full of cookies. So the description says the soft and gooey bourbon pecan chocolate chip cookies start with bourbon soaked pecans and are mixed with loads of chocolate chips and the perfect cookie dough. If you love bourbon and chocolate, these are the perfect cookies for you. So it also gives directions here. It says you can make your cookie dough 2 days in advance. Keep it refrigerated and in a sealed container. Baked cookies will last for 3 to 4 days at room temperature and an airtight container. If toasted pecan pieces are unavailable, roughly chop, they're telling you how to do it. Roughly chop the whole pecans and then toast at 350 degrees for 3 to 5 minutes. See, they're telling you to do it in the oven. We just
always put it in a pan.
I put mine in a skillet, and I just move them around, but make sure you don't let them sit there because they will scald. And once they've scalded, that flavor gets in the pecans or any nut. Any nut will have.
They turn bitter.
Yeah, and you won't be able to use them. You won't be able to taste that. So you want them just lightly toasted. And it probably did take me. I probably did it for 5 or 6 minutes, but like I said, I literally ate probably 2 of these, just the raw dough. It's fantastic, fantastic. So I hope they're as good baked as it was raw.
That's good. If you're worried about the bourbon being too strong, it's really not. I mean, that bourbon flavor is lighter than like a bourbon ball.
Oh.
Because the bourbon ball is like, you barely put anything in there and it's strong as can be. This, you just, it's a light bourbon flavor.
Yes, it is.
I wouldn't have even minded it being a little stronger, honestly.
Well, I'd say you have to be careful how much liquid you put in them to get the right texture. My favorite part of these cookies is the pecans because you get that terrific texture. I do like these baked, but I like them even more
Just raw.
Raw. Yes. So
you determine if you want to eat raw dough or not.
Yeah, you decide.
Each person's different.
Each person's different. Some people like to lick the bowl and eat the raw batter, and some people don't. I don't have an issue. I've never gotten sick from it, and so it's not a problem for me. I love the raw dough though because the bourbon is stronger. You taste it more in the raw dough. Also, I love the different textures with the pecans and the chips. So this, in the baked cookie, you're really getting the texture of the pecans, but I think you've lost the texture of the chocolate chip itself because it's gotten melty.
Yeah.
When it's raw, it still is that, it's not hard, but it's a firm chocolate chip. And so you're getting that firm chocolate chip piece with those firm pecans and then that soft dough with that strong bourbon flavor. And I just think it's absolutely excellent raw. So I was telling Kevin before we did this review, another cookie that I really, really like the raw dough better than the baked is oatmeal cookies, basic oatmeal cookies like are on the, I've done them for the channel, that are on the box of the Quaker Oats. I think it's on the inside of the lid. And I like those better raw than I do baked, because if you get that gritty brown sugar and you get that texture of those raw oats, and I'm a big texture person, and so I like those better raw too. This is another cookie where I genuinely like it better raw.
I didn't eat it raw, so I can't compare. I do think these are really good cookies, and the bourbon flavor, I ate them both. While you were talking, I had to eat.
That's okay.
The bourbon flavor, you do get it. It's just know it's not really strong. You do know it's there, but it's not strong. But I do like the pecans. I like it baked because you get that little crust of edge on the cookie. It's a little crunchy.
Right.
I don't know. I think they're really good.
I think it's a very good cookie. And like I said, they must have been meant to be much, much bigger than what I made them.
I think this is a good size though.
I think this is a good size too. So you're going to get a lot out of this recipe, but I will make sure that I'll link this below so that you can go to the website and you can print it out, because they were very easy to make. The only thing you need to know is don't preheat your oven when they tell you to, because that's way too early if you're going to put them in the oven for an hour. And then two,
if you go put them in the fridge for an hour.
I mean in the fridge, if you're going to put them in the fridge for an hour. And then two, I used light brown sugar, and I also used milk chocolate chips instead of semi-sweet.
Yeah.
But I'm sure semi-sweet would be excellent too.
Yeah, and brown sugar, I don't know, probably just a little stronger. That burnt flavor, a little bit stronger.
Yeah, but
it's hard to find dark brown sugar around here.
I like them just as well. Well, we already had it bought in the cabinet, and so I didn't see any point in buying something special when I knew this would work just as well, and it did. It was very successful. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.